I'm back here at My Voice is a Weapon podcast. I'm Rod Grum. I'm your director, producer, and host. And today I'm coming back to the subject of violence, but with a completely different outlook. Because one of the things that I realized after listening to other podcasts, talking to some people, um, there's one complete disconnection that I think we don't really think about, we don't really realize that happens. And it's perhaps the biggest difference between human beings and any other species on planet Earth. Because if we um, talk about violence, it's something so broad, so fascinating. There's violence in the animal kingdom all over the place. Um, some predators kill to eat, others by the time with it, and let's not be feverish about this. Animals can be just as psychopathic as human beings, to the point where some certain species actually play with their victims. Right? We all know what uh, dolphins do, and there are a few others that go in the same lane. But the disconnection here is this: when an animal kills another animal, there is no judicial system in the middle. There is no act of judge. That there's no act of judging in the whole process. An animal kills another animal. It doesn't go to jail. Um, it doesn't get punished. And there's a lot of factors for as why there's such difference, right? Perhaps human beings, there's a lot of ways to look at it, but based on principle, I think that the one thing that is completely different, and this is key, and this is the most important one, is the capability of human beings of building things that can be just a lot more destructive than just right, because human beings actually build stuff to be able to kill others, uh, and that's the biggest issue there. We have guns, we have knives, we have stuff that the animals don't have and don't use. Human beings are capable of uh, building the most sophisticated weapon that can do an amount of destruction that any animal with their bare hands wouldn't be able to do. Not even close, right? The measurement is not even fair. And the biggest difference is with that power of building such um, technology, advanced technology, human beings became the only ones capable of completely destroying the whole planet. Something that most animals couldn't do, no matter how smart they are. And that's key as well, because intelligence is a factor But there are, I believe, at least in my conception, that some species can be just as smart, if not smarter than human beings. But the difference is they don't get the access that we get to do certain things. And that's the biggest disconnection there. We are prepared to do whatever it takes to destroy a whole country if we have to. In the animal kingdom, I don't think any predator is even capable of coming up with a thought of, okay, let's build something to destroy, to completely kill the whole species of whatever animal, rabbits. Let's say a wolf is chasing rabbits, right? You have a group of wolves trying to chase down rabbits to eat. If they had access to the weaponry that we created, it would be very easy for them to say, let's just kill all the rabbits, store them, and have food for the rest of our lives. Can you imagine? What if it was the reverse? What if animals had access to that type of technology, that type of weaponry, and we were completely we wouldn't even know that that type of shit existed, right? Because that's the case here. Yeah, they get scared if they hear the sound of a gun going off. You know, if you're a hunter and you shoot something, and all of a sudden some of the animals that are around obviously are going to get scared. Because that sound sounds scared, but they don't know what that is. They don't have the conception to actually say, okay, somebody's shooting a gun here. They're just saying, oh shit, something's going on, let's get the fuck out of here. Right? So, I think that the most important base for a debate like this is exactly that. The accessibility to the ability to build things to that level. Because we are capable of engineering structure. They are not. And that's how different our minds is. Now, this doesn't mean that certain species can't be more intelligent than us. It just means that they don't have that kind of access. Right? And even if they did, I don't believe that they will have such evil intentions in mind like we do. Because perhaps that's also something that we need to put on the table when we talk about this is the ability to control intentions and the intention to, because it's one thing, you know, to have an instinct and kill to eat. For example, a lion has to kill boars or kill whatever other species to be able to survive, but it kills one or two or three and eats. But it doesn't have this conception of mass murder or complete annihilation. The bad intention is not there. The key factor here is instinctive, because lions need to eat, so they kill to eat. And that's as far as the nature of the way that killings work in the animal kingdom goes. While we apply it in a completely different way, because most times we kill either human beings or other species. It's completely off the rail because it's bad intention and it has nothing to do with natural instinct. Absolutely nothing to do with that. It goes far beyond, right? That's why we need a criminal justice system that for people that try or go off and do that type of shit, right? I mean, in the animal kingdom, there are no terrorists. We have terrorists, right? If one day I go insane and I become a fanatic, maybe I'll just put a dynamite belt on, go inside a train, and everybody that is on the train is going to blow up alongside myself. And I'll say, fuck everything. That's the level of insanity that we have. It's not instinctual, it's not natural. We build things that are built out of a completely disproportionate. It's the disproportion of the amount of power that the things that we built have in comparison to how the animal kingdom works in terms of violence is completely insane, right? It's really something very interesting to look at. And of course, there are many ways where we can actually politicize this debate and go, oh, but I'm not going to do that here right now because I'm looking at mostly how not only the psychology works in these terms, but everything else that the science behind it as well. Because how we machine those thoughts in our heads. If you get a serial killer, that person, no matter how much you want to study their brain, there is absolutely zero, nothing instinctual about the ways they behave. Nothing. It's all the mechanics of pure hate and revenge. That doesn't exist to that level in the animal kingdom. You know? Perhaps, okay, maybe accidentally, let's say, that what is perhaps, at least physically, the most similar species to us, maybe monkeys, right? And then there are many types of monkeys. You have gorillas, you have chimpanzees, you have a bunch of them, right? I don't know all of them. But let's say accidentally, as smart as they are, let's say that by accident a chimpanzee gets a gun in their hands and starts shooting. The chimpanzee is not aiming at something in particular or at someone, right? It doesn't know what the gun is. It doesn't know what the gun is doing. So it's just playing with the gun and shooting the gun. And if by accident or not, someone gets shot along the way, that's just, we would call it an accident. No matter how bad it looks, even if actually, let's say you're in a small space, close environment, and that chimpanzee is with the gun and starts shooting the gun, and it aims at you and starts shooting at you several times. Well, you die. Whoever finds you with the chimpanzee with a gun in its hands will think, okay, well, this little beast got its hands on its got this gun in its hands and doesn't know what it's doing and just killed this person. So the chimpanzee is not going to jail because logic says doesn't matter how. And if let's say that there's actually a camera that recorded everything that happened, no matter how many times you look, even if the chimpanzee actually is shooting the gun at that person and it looks like it is intentional and it looks like it is with evil intent behind it, even that way we will still think and consider that that chimpanzee, that little monkey, doesn't know what it's doing. But then we have to really analyze if that is the case. Is it the case? What if that little chimpanzee actually lived his whole life with human beings that are used to having guns around? Right? What if it grew up in an environment where it saw people shooting at each other? Now I know this is a very, you wouldn't think that that would be something normal, but nowadays who the fuck knows, right? Because if the chimpanzees learn this behavior, then you have to look at it with a completely set of eyes. Maybe it was intending to do that. Now, how can we process this type of thing? Do the chimpanzee goes to jail? What is the sentence in case if we do decide to put him in jail? Life sentence? He's gonna be, well, I mean, if you think about it, zoos are not very far from that type of lifestyle. A lot of them are imprisoned for life instead of those creators in the zoos all around the world, right? And we put them in there and they're not criminals. There's no justice system that decides to put the animal in there. That's insanity, right? That's the crazy part of it. We actually put a bunch of innocent creatures in zoos where it's basically jail. And they're not criminals. They don't go through the process of being judged to be put in there. And yet we do with all of the innocent species that we can find, put them in zoos. Right? And yet, in our case, when someone has the intent of killing someone else, just for the intent, right? Even if it doesn't succeed, just for trying, that person is judged and probably, in most cases, put in jail. Just for the intent. Now, the amount of time that they spend in jail might be a discussion. That's the political aspect of the conversation that I don't want to get into it right now. But the whole premise is completely it's completely outbounded, if it makes any sense. That there is no way to actually conceive the fact that there's a working judicial system for human beings in case they do stuff like this, and for animals that are innocent, it doesn't matter, just put them in the zoo. Get a crater, lock them up. No judge, just do it. And maybe, one day this will happen to us. I mean, some of us are innocent and in jail. Some people that fight for a lot of the injustices that go on and take action upon it. Let's not forget the cases of Snowden, right? And Assange. And that's the crazy part of it. We build up this whole judicial system, and it has a lot of holes in it. It fails a lot. There's more issues in those type of systems than in any other public service. The judicial system is probably the one where more mistakes are made than any other. Any other public service. That's crazy, right? Think about the times when someone who had to steal to put food on the table for their families, they go and try to steal some bread. They get put in jail. While bank robbers, most times, escaped the jail system. They found ways to avoid it, right? It's not like they needed the money. And yet the people that stole bread to feed their families out of desperation were put to jail, and a lot of times in many places were actually killed for it. And here's the crazy part as well. We actually, there's a part of this that is completely, this is the creepiest part of this conversation, is when we talk about some of the justice systems that are put in place actually are killing as well, right? So if killing is a crime, why is the justice system deciding to kill some people because they did horrible things? It's enough with the locking them up, don't you think? So that's not out of revenge. Death penalties? What is that exactly? what is the benefit of having a death penalty? Because when you stop to look at this and you think about if you have to criminalize something for all the logical reasons, you want to punish anybody that decides to kill others. So your process of thinking that, okay, if you kill, we'll kill you. Does that really work? Do you think that others that are actually going through the same thought process, of course they're not mentally healthy, there's something deeply wrong with them, but wait a minute, is killing them really the solution? Locking them up for life is already something very extreme. We're depriving people from their freedom here. And we're punishing people because obviously if I decide to kill somebody else, I'm depriving them of the freedom of living. Then, what is that? I have to suffer the consequences by dying? What if I want to die? Right? Because that's the thing. A lot of those people, when they get caught, a lot of them actually want to go to the death penalty. They'd rather die, be killed, than being locked up. So maybe what we should think about is maybe locking them up for life is the most extreme kind of punishment, even worse than death itself. And perhaps that's what they deserve, right? They've got to be punished somehow. So we're actually debunking the whole idea about the death penalty here. At least I think so. Maybe anybody else will actually debate this, but think about it. A lot of people rather die than be locked up until the end of their lives, naturally. Of course, being in jail in certain places increases your chances of actually getting killed. And this is not just by the justice system, other prisoners can actually kill you. And let's remember, while the justice system tries to regulate laws inside the prisons, inside the prison there is no law, my friend. Fuck it. I'm already locked up. I have nothing to lose. Right? If I'm a prisoner, my thought process is, I'm already doing 30 years. What the fuck does it matter if they increase 20 more years? It doesn't. My life is already fucked. And maybe if I get out after all this time, it's going to be worse for me. Because I won't be able to work, I won't be able to do anything. I'd rather stay here now. This is my life. I have no freedom. So that is essentially the difference here. Is the intent and the cruel intentions behind the way that human beings kill versus, the surviving aspect of instinctual killing that most other species go through. Because that's the way they survive in nature. for us, everything we do to that point is artificial. You know? I mean, think about this. In the old days, we hunted to eat. Right? When human beings first... At the first period of human existence, we acted the same way as any other species. Evolution came by, and a lot of things changed. One of the things that changed is we no longer needed to hunt to eat. We actually, the system that we have to actually eat meat now, most of the times we don't hunt. If we want to eat, we probably have a pig somewhere in a farm, and we just kill it right there and there. And in the next 48 hours, it's probably been served in somebody else's table. You know how insane that is? No other species go through that process. And this is the craziest part as well. Other species don't process their food the way that we do. They don't need salt. They don't need sugar. They don't need all these mixtures that we put in food to change the taste. Perhaps that's what got us so sick in the first place. All of those processed way of producing food now. It has everything to do with the way we behave, right? We completely lost a natural way of being in this planet. Completely. To the point where we're getting closer and closer to becoming machines now. Neuralink, Elon Musk. Yeah, I praise the idea. But I know it's a very scary way of looking at it as well. There are negative things about all of that. We got to this place where we're slowly living in a completely different reality. And now we're calling virtual reality. But is it really? Is it virtual? Or are we starting to become so embedded to that system that is actually, it's not a simulation anymore. It's starting to get real. And that is extremely violent if you think about it. You know how invasive that process can be? Take away the killing element, murdering. We torture ourselves in ways that we don't even realize we're torturing ourselves. That's actually, it's quite scary. Now, I said here that if I had the chance to get a Neuralink in my skull, I would do it. I still will do it. But I understand everything that it entails and all the scary parts as well. But the reason I would do it is because maybe it has more to do with how insecure I am about my own intelligence, that I felt that if I don't have that, then I'm useless. And that's more scary for me than anything else. I rather do it than not do it. Even with all the extreme things that I just realized, because this perception just came at me now. I'm just processing this right now as I'm talking about it. It's fucking scary. And it's something to perhaps give a very deep, thorough thinking. And it's not an easy decision to take, you know. Of course, as soon as Neuralink is accessible, not everyone will have access to it, right? It's not everyone that will actually get access to that technology, that piece of machine. I think the way Elon Musk is looking at it is more to, at the start, he's looking at people that have physical problems, you know. For example, if you can't walk because of some issue with your spine, that's the people that he's looking for to try to help them with Neuralink. And that's very admirable, you know. Go for it. You know, if this is a way to fix issues like that, you know, people that live in wheelchairs, if that fixes them to the point where they can actually walk and do anything normally, just like everybody else, then that's what Neuralink should be intended for. But now I understand that with time, a lot of people will want to get access to that. I'm one of them. Certainly. I'll be right there, first in line, if I can. You know? And I don't have any physical, I walk, so and violence has to do with everything that I just talked about here, because we can see the how much more cruel the intentions of killing is when it comes from humans, right? Because of the way that we behave, because of the access to weapons that we have, right? And I'm not just talking about guns and stuff like that. Even put guns aside, we have access to machetes, knives. We build weapons out of anything, and we use that to kill. That's how crazy this is. We figured most animals have a lot more strength than we do. So for us to be able to kill them, we need something that actually, because if a human being has a confrontation with a bear and it goes physical, most likely the bear is gonna fucking destroy the human being. Just because of the size difference, the strength, the anything. Now, if that human being has a hammer or doesn't even need a firearm, if it has a knife of any sort, a sword, right? Then that bear most likely has no chance. No chance. Because maybe it's going to be able to hurt the human being, but if the human being finds a way to stab the bear with whatever weapon it has, then most probably the bear has no chance. No chance. Get a sword, and the bear comes at you. You're probably gonna kill the bear. Let me tell you. Of course, now this sounds a lot like self-defense. Yeah, it's still killing. It's a killing. And there is a lot of that as well. That we need to self-preserve the idea that the only way we have the right to kill someone is if it's the case becomes so extreme that the only way we have is to defend ourselves. And the only way to stop the other one is by killing them. Or we're gonna end up dead. That's the thought process a lot of times, right? And it happens more often than we think. Because anybody that is in an extreme case like that, if some crazy lunatic tries to kill you, of course you're gonna try to stop him. You're not just gonna stand there. Oh, I'm gonna die. No. Of course, reactions are different, you know. Some people do freeze of fear. I get that. You're so afraid that you don't know what to do. You just freeze. But that doesn't mean that you're actually letting the other person attack you. Right? That's not the case. You're just so afraid that you can't actually process a thought in order for you to actually defend yourself in time. And I'm trying to cover all bases here. All of them. So, there's a lot more to this that I'm gonna talk about in the future here at the podcast. But yeah, let's think about this. I'm gonna stop right here, and as always, thank you very much for listening, and follow the podcast, download it, subscribe, whatever the fuck that means, right? Thank you, and see you next time. Even though I don't know when next time might be, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. But yeah, there are a few changes coming, so before I go, just to let all of you know, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do the podcast every day from now on. That's why right now I'm uploading the podcast when I can. So if tomorrow there's no new episode, at least you know why. Right now things are a little bit, I'm a little bit too busy with other stuff, and I need to reschedule some things, work around it, and but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be uploading continuously. It's just not going to happen every single day like I was trying to do up until now. Again, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.